You should have already taken your quiz, and now we should be ready to grade it. So you should have a colored pencil and only the colored pencil out. Okay, so if we read number 1, the cell membrane acts as a selectively permeable membrane for all of the following reasons except A, fluidity can be altered which affects permeability. That is true. Fluidity can be altered. And you should be able to talk about how do you alter fluidity and how does it affect permeability. B, polar regions of the phospholipid allow association with aqueous environments. That is true. The polar head allows for it to be a barrier because the outside's water, the inside's water, and so that's an advantage having that polar head. C, nonpolar regions of the phospholipid act as a barrier to all molecules. This is the one that is false. It is not all molecules. We do have some, and you should be able to tell me which ones, that can diffuse on their own across the phospholipid bilayer. D, embedded proteins allow the membrane to have specific channels to allow for increased diffusion. That is true. 2, all of the following are true about diffusion across a membrane except A, large molecules can never pass a membrane. B, the thermodynamic energy of a solution can increase or decrease diffusion rates. C, diffusion occurs down a concentration gradient. Or D, small nonpolar molecules can diffuse freely across a membrane. So A is actually the one that is false, so this is except. Large molecules can never pass. It's not never, but it's only if they have a transport protein. B, this is true. If we have lots of thermodynamic energy, then the diffusion rate will increase. If we have less, if it's colder, the molecules are moving slower, that'll decrease our diffusion rate. Diffusion does occur down a concentration gradient from a high concentration to a low concentration. That is diffusion. Active transport sometimes moves it the opposite way. D, small nonpolar molecules can diffuse freely. That's very similar to that question there. Number 3, all of the following are true about transport proteins except A, they are specifically shaped. That is true. B, some require use of ATP, others do not. That is true. C, nonpolar regions would be found on the
Latoya Moore, please meet you right in the front office immediately. Latoya Moore.
Our environment is usually water. Non-polar molecules would not be found on the outside. So C is the one that is false. And D, some can use coupled transport. That's your SIM and antiports. 4, if a cell is placed into distilled water, all the following are true except A, the concentration of solute is greater inside the cell. That is true. A cell is not 100% water. Distilled water means 100% water. So A is true. B, all the substances in the cell will diffuse out of the cell. This is not true. Absolutely not true. Some substances may, but very few will, because we have a lot of channels coming in and not very many going back out. But the key is that you should know that there's no way that everything in the cell is going to diffuse out. C, overall movement of osmosis is into the cell. I really like this term overall. I put that there on purpose because we do want to know that we can have it going in both directions, but the overall, or also known as the net movement, would be into the cell. D, once at equilibrium, the cell membrane will experience increased pressure. That is true. If the cell is absorbing lots of water, that cell will swell, and there's a lot more water pushing against that membrane. Okay, 5, analyze why proteins are essential to the functioning of the cell membrane. We are going to cover that when we come back. So that's where we're stopping. So make sure that you have checked that. Please pass your pencils across, your quiz across. Have a great weekend. Make good choices.